The factory jack was already sinking into the July asphalt when I pulled onto the shoulder. One more inch and the silver sedan was coming down. Traffic hammered past at 70 miles an hour while a woman crouched beside the front wheel, fighting a lug wrench with both hands. I killed my service truck, grabbed my floor jack, and crossed the gravel. Step away from the car. She looked up sharply. I almost have it. The lug nut? Maybe the jack? Definitely not. A tractor-trailer blasted past and shoved hot air across us. The little factory jack shifted visibly. That ended the argument. She moved back. I positioned my hydraulic jack beneath the proper lift point, raised the car, unloaded the failing scissor jack, and removed the wheel. 10 minutes later, the spare was on. I hand-snugged the nuts in a star pattern, lowered the car until the tire touched enough to stabilize it, then finished with a torque wrench. The woman watched every step. She had a water bottle in one hand and her phone in the other. Every few seconds, the screen pulled her attention away from me. I packed the tools. Keep it under 50. That spare isn't meant for highway speed. You always rescue strangers this efficiently? Only the ones using bad equipment. That brought out the first smile. She offered me the water. Claire, Ethan. Her gaze shifted to the faded gold lettering on my truck. Carter Classic Restoration. You restore old cars? That's the idea. Her phone rang. The smile vanished. Yes. Victor. I turned away, but highway noise couldn't hide the tension in her voice. I know the Mustang has to run by Friday. Pause. Yes, I understand the final payment clause. Another? If you activate the VIP preview, I know what that means. Her fingers tightened around the phone. No, Victor. I'm not asking you to change anything. She ended the call and stared at the dark screen. What Mustang? I asked. A 1967 Fastback, navy blue, 289. That got me. What happened? My restorer walked this morning after finding a cracked block. How bad? He said engine out machine work. 3 weeks minimum. And you have 5 days. Claire nodded. The Mustang is the centerpiece of a charity gala I'm producing. Victor controls the last event payment. If the car isn't delivered running, he can withhold it and trigger a performance penalty. She looked toward the traffic. I covered vendor deposits with a line secured against my house. That changed everything. Have you called other shops? 6. Earliest engine out slot is 3 weeks. Replacement engines are worse. Nobody will install an unknown 289 and safely test it by Friday. Good. She had already tried the obvious exits. Victor mentioned Thursday. The contract lets him activate a private VIP preview 24 hours early with written notice. Has he? Not yet, but he wants you thinking about it. Yes. I wiped my hands on the shop rag hanging from my pocket. Classic Fords were my trade. A cracked water jacket wasn't automatically fatal if the damage stayed accessible and the rest of the block checked out. I can inspect it. Claire looked at me carefully. As a favor? No. Good. Emergency commission. Standard rush rate. You approve the estimate before I touch the Mustang. Her expression eased by half a degree. Professional boundaries on the highway. Cheaper than lawsuits? She laughed, then glanced at the repaired tire. Your wife will be lucky. The answer came out before my judgment caught it. Maybe she's here. Claire froze. So did I? Then she laughed again, this time with genuine surprise. Fix the Mustang first. Ethan. Fair. 25 minutes later, I followed her into a converted warehouse filled with floral crates, lighting cases, rolled carpets, and one beautiful 1967 Mustang with its hood open and half its engines scattered across labeled tables. Claire's assistant, Sarah Kim, met us with 2 phones and a clipboard. Lighting wants the revised power map. Catering lost 12 vegetarian counts. The city confirmed the street permit begins Friday at 8, not Thursday. Claire didn't miss a beat. If Victor activates the preview, It stays inside the private loading court. No street setup Thursday. Already marked. Sarah looked at me. This him? Possible miracle. Claire said. I shook my head. Mechanic? Better, Sarah replied. Miracles are terrible with invoices. I liked her immediately. I covered the Mustang's fenders and inspected the block. The crack sat near the third-cylinder water jacket. Thin, accessible. No obvious branch into the deck. The previous restorer had been right not to weld it in place. Claire came closer but stayed behind the protective cover. Well? Maybe. Her mouth tightened. That's not the word I wanted. It's the honest one. I pointed to the damage. If the crack stays in this accessible section and the block passes pressure testing, cold stitching is realistic. We drill, tap, and install overlapping locking pins without heating the casting. Friday? Possible. Thursday? I'm not promising Thursday because Victor wants it. Claire looked like she was about to challenge me. Instead, she pulled out her tablet. What determines the timeline? Damage depth, parts availability, reassembly, wiring condition, cooling system test, heat cycles, road test. So what do you need now? Authorization, prior restorer's inventory, and Marcus Hale. Who's Marcus? The man who finds 60-year-old Ford parts while insulting my life choices. I called him. He answered with, if this is another carburetor someone repaired with hardware store screws, hang up. 67 fastback, 289. Water jacket crack. Silence. You are a terrible friend. I need stitching pins, gasket set, thermostat, belts, hoses, ignition leads, and anything you'd expect a mechanic to abandon when he walks off a half-disassembled Ford. When? Tomorrow morning. Marcus laughed. Send pictures. I did. Claire watched me end the call. He'll come? He'll complain the entire way. That wasn't my question. Yes? Sarah's phone rang. Victor wants a mechanical update by 6. Claire looked at me. What can I say? Professional assessment underway. No readiness claim until initial pressure inspection. She typed it exactly. That was the first thing I liked about her, beyond the obvious. She didn't turn uncertainty into a promise just because the truth scared her. I wrote the emergency estimate. Claire read every line. Rush labor. Parts testing. No readiness guarantee before inspection. Mandatory road test before release. She signed. Then she turned to Sarah. From now until tomorrow afternoon, you take first contact on everything except contract changes. Sarah stared. You're delegating? Don't ruin it. I need witnesses. Claire pointed toward the door. Go solve catering. Sarah left smiling. The first night was diagnosis, not heroics. I cleaned the casting, mapped the visible crack, inspected the deck, checked the cylinder walls, and pressure tested the water jacket enough to confirm the leak path. No hidden disaster, but no reason to celebrate yet. Marcus called at 9. Found your pins. Where? Charlotte. 3 hours. I understand maps. Gaskets. My shelf. Wiring? Half tonight. Rest tomorrow. Marcus? What? You're useful. Never say that again. Claire sat behind me at the staging desk, buried beneath permit sheets and vendor emails. At 10, the typing stopped. I poured black coffee into a ceramic mug and set it beside her. She looked up. I didn't ask. You ordered black at the gas station. You remembered? I notice systems. Coffee is a system? Yours is uncomplicated. Polite way to say joyless. Sarah, passing through with her coat, said, I've been saying that for years. Claire pointed toward the exit. Leave 7 tomorrow. The warehouse finally quieted. Rain began tapping against the metal roof. I went back to the engine. By midnight, I had the repair path marked and every missing part inventoried. Claire closed her laptop. You're stopping? Yes. We have 5 days. That's why I'm stopping. She frowned. I don't follow. Tired mechanics turned tomorrow's deadline into next month's accident. For a moment, she said nothing. Then she nodded. 7. 7. I drove home. Tuesday started with Marcus arriving at 7-Eleven, carrying parts, breakfast sandwiches, and irritation. He saw Claire first. You must be why Ethan answered his phone yesterday. I'm why he has a rush fee. Marcus looked at me. I like her parts. Yes, boss. Sarah arrived with 4 coffees. Claire picked up one, then carried another to my bench. Black? Marcus watched. Oh. No, I said. Claire smiled. No what? Nothing. Marcus opened the stitching kit. I definitely didn't say anything. We worked slowly. Drill, tap, pin, overlap, repeat. The point wasn't speed. The point was not turning one narrow crack into a ruined casting. Claire handled the event from the far desk. Sarah took calls before they ever reached her. At noon, Marcus inspected the first section. Clean. You sound disappointed. I hate complimenting you. Claire looked over. That friendship? Unfortunately, the first real setback came after lunch. I applied pressure to the partially repaired jacket. The main seam stayed dry. Then a thin line darkened lower on the casting. A second branch, smaller, hidden beneath grime. My stomach tightened. Marcus crouched beside me. You found it. I should have found it earlier. You found it during testing. That's why we test. 3 years earlier. I'd skipped one final verification on a rushed restoration. A transmission cooler line failed on a test drive. Rear wheels locked. The client walked away, bruised. The car didn't. Deadlines had sounded different to me ever since. Marcus didn't mention that car. He simply handed me the inspection light. Map it. I did. Claire came over when she saw the new chalk mark. What changed? Secondary crack. Repairable? Yes. How much time? 4 hours if nothing else appears. Claire didn't argue with the clock. She opened her schedule, then called Sarah. Move Thursday interior styling from noon to 8. Clear the private loading court by 4 if Victor triggers preview. Sarah answered something. Claire said, No, we adjust now. We don't pretend we didn't lose 4 hours. She ended the call. No blame, no dramatic collapse, just a new plan. By evening, the second repair passed pressure. Marcus threw a rag at me. Eat? I'm fine. You've said that since Clinton. Claire pointed at the sandwich still wrapped beside my toolbox. He's right. That's twice today. Terrifying. Sarah returned carrying takeout. I brought food because apparently none of you have basic survival instincts. For 15 minutes, the Mustang stopped being the center of the universe. Sarah told us about a florist who had delivered 800 roses to the wrong ballroom. Marcus claimed car people were more rational than event people. Claire laughed so hard she nearly spilled her black coffee. That moment bought us enough oxygen for the next problem. Wednesday morning, the engine began going back together. Heads, gaskets, intake, cooling hardware. Then I uncovered the wiring. I stared at it for a long time. Marcus joined me. Oh, that's ugly. Decades of repairs had turned the harness into a museum of bad decisions. Brittle insulation, cheap crimp connectors, hard electrical tape. I pointed to 3 sections. Those go. Marcus nodded. Already chasing replacements. Claire approached. How bad? Worse than expected. Her phone rang. Victor? Sarah looked at her own screen at the same moment. Claire. The written notice had arrived. VIP preview activated. Thursday, 6 p.m., 37 hours away. Claire opened the contract herself. Read the clause. Check the notice time. Sarah read over her shoulder. Valid. Claire closed the file. He can do it, Sarah asked. What changes? Private venue only. No street staging Thursday. Move photography inside. Lighting shifts to west wall. Catering adds 20 VIP settings. Friday remains full public event. Sarah was writing before Claire finished speaking. Then Claire looked at me. Can the Mustang make it? Possible. That's all? That's all I know. Victor arrived an hour later while thunder rolled over the warehouse. Gray suit, no umbrella, bad mood. Is it running? Claire met him before he reached my work area. No, it needs to run tomorrow. I received the notice. You signed the clause. I know exactly what I signed. Victor looked past her toward the Mustang. He stepped forward. I straightened. Active restoration area. He looked at me. And you are? Ethan Carter, restoration specialist under Claire's contract. Victor turned toward her. You hired another mechanic. I hired a classic car restorer. I need to inspect the engine. Claire didn't look at me for backup. No. Victor's eyebrows rose. You'll receive Ethan's readiness report when he signs it. Until then, nobody enters his controlled work area. He looked at her for a long second. If that Mustang doesn't drive into tomorrow's preview, I withhold final payment under Section 12. Claire opened the contract on her tablet. And under the acceleration supplement, once I deliver successfully, your finance office certifies final payment by 10 Friday morning. Victor's expression tightened. I know my contract. So do I. Rain slammed the roof. He left without another word. Sarah waited until the door shut. I would like to clap. Don't. I'm doing it internally. Claire turned to me. How much uninterrupted time? All of it. She glanced at her schedule. Sarah said, I take event calls until 9 tomorrow. Claire started to object. Sarah raised one finger. You just rearranged 4 departments in 15 minutes. I handed Claire the written mechanical update. Block repaired and pressure tested. Engine reassembly complete. Wiring in progress. First ignition test scheduled for 8 a.m. Claire read it. If I leave now, I can sleep 6 hours and be back by 7. Correct. She stared at the Mustang, then handed Sarah the event phone. Only call me for contract emergencies. Deal. Claire looked at me. 7. 7? She left, not because I ordered her to rest. Because Sarah had the event, I had the car, and Claire had built a system strong enough to step away from it. That night, the storm got worse. At 2 in the morning, I stripped one wire twice, then dropped a connector, then checked a ground path I had already verified. I stopped 3 years earlier. I had heard the deadline louder than my own mistakes. This time I put the tools down, drank water, walked outside beneath the awning. Headlights appeared through the rain. Marcus climbed out, carrying a box. What are you doing here? You forgot the correct voltage regulator. The old one tested marginal. Exactly. You drove here at 2 a.m.? I was awake. You're 60. I am 53, you hateful child. He handed me the box, then looked through the open warehouse. You rushing? No, I stopped 20 minutes ago. Marcus nodded. Good. That was all. We replaced the regulator, verified every ground, finished the harness. At 5:40, the ignition system tested clean. Marcus inspected the work independently. No reason it shouldn't fire. That isn't the same as ready. I know. At 7. Claire walked through the warehouse carrying 2 black coffees. Sarah followed with breakfast. Claire set one mug beside me. Still terrible. You bought the same thing. Emergency conditions. Sarah handed Marcus a sandwich. I was told you're useful. Marcus looked at me. Finally. Executive recognition. Claire ignored him. Status? Ready for first start after final fluid checks. Sarah whispered. Good. Claire whispered back. It means don't celebrate. Correct. We primed the oil system, verified fuel pressure, checked coolant, static timing, battery, fire extinguisher. Only then did I slide into the driver's seat. The old Mustang smelled like vinyl, fuel, fresh gasket material, and 60 years of people refusing to let it die. Claire stood behind the safety line. Marcus watched the gauge cluster through the passenger door. I turned the key. The starter spun. 1 second. 2. 3. The V8 caught. A rough bark filled the warehouse. Then the idle began settling. Oil pressure 58. Marcus called. Temperature climbed steadily. No visible coolant, no oil on the floor. Then, tick, 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 metallic, wrong. I killed the engine. Claire's fingers locked around her clipboard. What happened? Don't know yet. That answer hurt more than pretending would have. 10 minutes later, we found it. Not the repaired block. One exhaust header flange wasn't seated correctly. A small leak had created the ticking. I replaced the gasket, corrected the flange. Second start, smooth. We brought the engine fully to operating temperature, adjusted timing, watched coolant stabilize, shut it down, inspected every seam. Pressure tested the cooling system again after the first heat cycle. Held, oil clean, coolant clean. The stitched section stayed dry. Marcus patted the fender cover. Now I'm cautiously optimistic. Sarah stares. That's celebration? From him. Yes. Claire laughed. I pointed toward the clock. We're not released. Her smile faded. What else? Complete cool down? Rechecks. Second heat cycle. Road test. The preview is 6 hours away. I know, Sarah said. Enclosed trailer is confirmed for 3:30. Good. Nobody was driving a freshly rebuilt 60-year-old car across downtown after one successful startup. At noon, the second heat cycle still looked clean. I changed the initial oil to inspect it. No coolant, no metal contamination. At one, Marcus followed in my service truck while I took the Mustang onto an industrial loop. No hard acceleration, no dramatic driving. Light load, moderate temperature, 10 miles. Then 12. The car pulled cleanly. No overheating, no stumble, no pressure loss. We returned to the warehouse. I inspected everything again. Marcus crawled beneath it with a light. Dry, cooling pressure held. Only then did I sign the release sheet. Safe for controlled event operation. Claire read the words twice. Her hand shook against the clipboard. She tightened her grip once, then looked at Sarah. Call transport. Sarah already had the phone in her hand. At 3:40, the Mustang rolled into the enclosed trailer. Marcus stayed behind. You owe me dinner. I owe you parts money. Emotionally. Dinner? Send an invoice. He smiled. Good luck. The trailer reached the private loading court at 5:15. No public street closure. No permit problem. Sarah stood at the entrance wearing a headset. Court clear. Lighting set. Victor has asked 3 times whether the car is inside. Claire straightened her blazer. Good. Then she looked at me. Your call. Not hers. Not Victor's. Mine. I opened the trailer and inspected the Mustang one last time. No leaks. Coolant correct. Oil correct. I started it. Pressure steady. Temperature stable. Then I backed it down. Claire approached the driver's door. You still trust me with it? It's your event. That wasn't what I asked. Yes. I stepped out. She took the wheel. At 5:53, the private preview doors opened. 24 sponsors and board members gathered inside. At 5:58, Claire drove the Navy Mustang into the hall. The V8 echoed off polished concrete. The car rolled beneath the event lights. Stopped exactly on the mark. No smoke, no leak, no stumble. Victor checked his watch. Claire stepped out. 5:58. He circled the car, looked beneath it, listened to the idle. Then Claire handed him my signed release sheet and her delivery certification. Vehicle delivered under the accelerated preview clause. Payment certification is due by 10 tomorrow. Victor looked at me, then at Claire. The main gala better run this clean. It will. He signed. That signature mattered more than any speech. Sarah appeared a few minutes later, carrying coffees. She handed mine over. Black. I looked at her. I'm impressed. I work for Claire. I know the survival requirements. For 5 quiet minutes, the 4 of us stood beside the Mustang with nothing urgent to repair. Then Claire looked at me. Not the car. Me. Thank you. I shook my head. Tomorrow. She understood. Not done yet. Friday morning, the full street permit activated at 8. Sarah coordinated vendors outside. Claire ran staging. I stayed responsible for the Mustang. At 9:42, Claire's phone buzzed. She read the message, then gave the phone to Sarah. Sarah's eyes widened. Cleared? Claire nodded. Cleared. Final payment. No performance penalty. Vendor balances covered. The line tied to Claire's house protected. Her company had made it through. Sarah hugged her. Claire froze for half a second before hugging back. I turned toward the Mustang and gave them the moment. Victor arrived later. Strong recovery, he told Claire. Strong execution, she replied. He couldn't argue. Their contract was fulfilled. His leverage was gone because Claire had completed her side, not because anyone frightened him into surrender. The gala exceeded its fundraising target that night. The Mustang ran its presentation sequence perfectly. I watched the gauges anyway. Near closing, Marcus appeared wearing a blazer. I stared. You own formal clothes? One jacket? Why? Funerals and successful engine repairs. He checked under the Mustang. Still dry? Still dry. Good. Claire approached. Marcus? He offered his hand. Parts supplier. Mechanical philosopher. Ethan's better judgment. You forgot modest. I didn't. Claire shook his hand. Thank you for keeping him honest. Marcus looked at me. I definitely like her. Sarah appeared beside him. Claire. Victor's final sign-off is complete. Vendors are closed. Sponsors are gone. Claire looked around the ballroom. Empty tables. Dimmed lights. The Mustang beneath one warm spotlight. Sarah smiled. You are officially out of excuses to work. Claire exhaled, then looked at her assistant. You saved me this week. Sarah shook her head. We saved the event. Different thing. Marcus clapped my shoulder. We transport the car. Final inspection tomorrow. Agreed. He looked between Claire and me. I'm leaving before the atmosphere becomes complicated. Sarah followed his gaze. Oh. Claire closed her eyes. Both of you disappear. Sarah took Marcus's arm. I want embarrassing Ethan stories. I have 12 years. Perfect. They left. The ballroom went quiet. Claire and I stood beside the Mustang. She held out the keys. Your turn. Transport only. I know. Then she reached into her bag and took out a white envelope. Final balance. Standard rate plus the agreed rush fee. I accepted it. Thank you. Claire watched me slide it into my jacket. Professional moment finished? Yes. Good. She reached toward me. For 1 second, I thought she wanted the envelope back. Instead, she pulled the shop rag from my back pocket. You own hundreds of these. Approximately. She folded it, handed it back. Remember Monday? I remember several disasters. The highway that I remembered. Claire looked toward the Mustang. You told me maybe your wife was already there? I blame heat stroke. You sounded very confident for a man covered in grease. I was delirious. She stepped closer. Not enough to crowd me. Enough that I stopped watching the gauges. Sunday morning, she said. What happened Sunday? Breakfast? Mechanical follow-up? No. Event review? No. Client meeting? No. Her smile softened. Not as my restoration specialist. The room seemed quieter. Not because you saved the Mustang. I waited. As my date, Ethan. Nothing left to interpret. No deadline. No payment. No broken car between us. I'd like that. Claire reached for my hand. Not my wrist, not the keys, my hand. Her fingers closed around mine beneath the last warm light over the Mustang. Good. Saturday morning. Marcus and I did one final post-event inspection. Cold pressure test. Fluids. Oil. Ignition. Everything held. Marcus leaned against my toolbox. You know what you did differently? I tested the repair. You stopped. I looked at it. When you were tired, I closed the Mustang's hood. The latch clicked. 3 years earlier, I had let urgency make decisions for me. This week, I had stopped, retested, waited, refused the shortcut, even when the contract clock was screaming. The Mustang stood in front of us without a single drop beneath it. Marcus tossed me the keys. Take another hard job. I take restorations every week. Safe one. I looked at the car. He wasn't wrong. My phone buzzed. Claire. Sunday, 9 a.m. No torque wrenches. I showed Marcus. He laughed. Definitely like her. Sunday morning was cooler than the highway had been 5 days earlier. Claire chose a small diner just off the interstate. When I arrived, she was already in a booth. 2 black coffees, 1 unopened water bottle beside mine. I stopped. She tapped the bottle. Continuity. You're terrifying. I produce events. Repetition creates emotional payoff. That sounds manipulative, only aesthetically. I sat. No clipboard, no ringing phone, no Victor. Outside the window, traffic moved in the distance. But here, it was only a low, steady hum. Claire pushed the bottle toward me. No grease today. I can fix that. Please don't. We talked for 2 hours. She told me she hadn't taken a full weekend off in 19 months. I told her Marcus once charged me triple for a distributor cap after I insulted his barbecue. He probably deserved it. You haven't tasted his barbecue. I trust the evidence. When we finally stepped outside, sunlight had burned through the morning haze. Claire stopped beside my truck. Carter Classic Restoration still stretched across the door in faded gold. She touched the edge of the lettering. You know what I noticed about you? That sounds dangerous. You never promised the Mustang would be ready until you knew it was. That should be normal. It should. She looked at me, then reached for my hand again. Nothing was broken. No one was waiting on a payment. No contract depended on us standing there. That was the difference. Claire squeezed once. Next Sunday? I smiled. Maybe. Her eyes narrowed. That sounded like revenge. Maybe she's here. She laughed before I finished the sentence. And this time, neither of us had somewhere urgent to be. The end. Closing thoughts. What stayed with me wasn't the Mustang starting. It was that after Claire had the car, the payment, and her company back, she still asked me to stay. The green flag was simple. She trusted my process. I respected her decisions. And neither of us used the crisis as leverage. Please like and subscribe so we can share more stories like this.